parents pushing back against the Biden DOJ's decision to tap the FBI to look into parent protesters opposed to critical race theory.
We spoke before the school board. They ignored us. We wrote letters to the school board. They ignored us. And I've been continuing to go to school board meetings. The National School Board Association says that this is what a domestic terrorist looks like.
Here to discuss, Oklahoma State Senator Julie Daniels and Rhode Island mother of two, Nicole Solas. Thanks to the both of you for being here. Nicole, first question to you. What the heck is really going on here?
This is absurd. You have the Department of Justice mobilizing the Federal Bureau to investigate parents with legitimate concerns about their children's education. Parents have never condoned violence. We have never attacked people in school board meetings talking about critical race theory. I don't know of any reported incidents where parents opposing CRT are attacking school board members. Garland is saying that there's been a rise in criminal conduct against school personnel, but he gives no evidence to support that claim. He is trying to purge his ideological opponents by portraying parents as terrorists.
Julie, here's what the National School Board Association said, quote, as these acts of malice, violence, and threats against public school officials have increased, classification of these heinous actions could be the equivalent to a form of domestic terrorism and hate crimes. Look, no one is advocating for violence. Violence in this setting is un-American. But as the ultimate one responsible for your child and as a taxpayer, don't you have a right to be vocal?
Absolutely, you have a right, and you captured the passage in the NSBA letter that was the most inflammatory in my view. The idea is to silence people through intimidation. The examples they gave in their letter talked about contentious, tense, disruptive, disorderly school board meetings. Well, I've been on the city council. You put a zoning issue on an agenda, and you're going to have a contentious meeting. But it doesn't rise to the level of a threat or even an act of violence. But they threw all those words into their letter in order to boost the argument that there's a great problem out there at school boards across America, and that we need the federal government to bring the full arm of its power and authority down on the very people who pay for every penny of public education in our country.
Nicole, here's what A.G. Garland had to say about all this, defending the probe. Quote, those who dedicate their time and energy to ensuring that our children receive a proper education deserve to be able to do their work without fear for their safety. Nicole, have you ever threatened anyone's safety? And we lost Nicole. I'll ask the same question to you, Julie. Have you ever threatened anyone's safety?
Not to my knowledge. Sure, I have strong opinions, but I don't think they rise to the level of threats. But we've had a situation recently where we saw Senator Sinema in a ladies' bathroom, followed in there by someone who was obviously maybe harassing her. As an elected official, I felt very bad for how vulnerable she was in that situation, but it was still a free speech issue for me, and I would not classify it as threatening or an act of violence, and certainly President Biden didn't think so either. But suddenly parents across the United States are exactly that kind of threat, and we need to come down hard on them. We gave parents more choices about the education of their children and the expenditure of their tax dollars. They would have power, and school boards would have to listen to them because they would be customers.
Julie, one more question, 30 seconds on the response. Are you worried parents are going to be scared off, or will this embolden them to fight harder?
I'm heartened by the response since the DOJ came out with its letter. I think the idea is if they could make examples of a few parents somewhere in this country, that it would intimidate others to simply stay home. If you stay home from the school board meeting, then the school board can say, no one opposes our policies, no one's come to complain. So that's the goal here, to silence you through intimidation. I'm heartened that I do not think they can pull it off. We're all onto them now. But again, if parents had more choices and more voice in public education, the elected officials that run the schools would
Gotcha.
It would be necessary for them to listen more to their patrons and taxpayers.
Julie and Nicole, we have you back just in time to thank you both. Thank you both for being here. Jillian.